Hey guys, and welcome to yet another Dino game, and yet another game with the sulfur-crested cockatoo, aka Lenorm. He's been sending in a bucket ton of games, and today he's up against the New World Order of Clan BBB, and my favourite Dino boys take on the sulfur-crested cockatoo's Dark Elves. Should be a good fun game all round. I've done a load of Dino content recently, but I enjoy watching them so much, how can you not love the little skink boys? So for the forces of the Dark Elves in the front line, we do have a load of Dark Riders actually in a bit of a vanguard position, driving ahead of the build, looking to seek out skink skirmishers, chameleon skinks, as well as those chameleon stalkers. The main battle line with a load of dread spears, 1, 2, 3, 4 dotted along the line, backed up by a couple of elite halberd units. We don't get to see the Black Guard of Nagrond often, but when we do, they're often quite a treat. And they're going to be coming in looking regal and beautiful as always, ready to bring death from close combat. Now, they're actually relatively decent up against the Lizardmen if you can deal with the range aspect. Now, how do you deal with the range aspects of the Dino Boys? Well, you can shoot them, which is certainly one good way. Another way is you can run them over with heavily armoured cavalry, which is so good in this matchup, and we have the double Cold One Dread Knights. It's kind of funny to think, not too long ago, these guys were considered to be pretty memey. They're almost never picked, and now they're almost a must-have inclusion in the game up against the Lizardmen. It's kind of funny to watch the meta swing back and forth. That 120 armor and bronze shield means they're pretty impervious to blow darts, javelins, and other long-range utensils that the Lizardmen can bring to the battlefield, and they can often go toe-to-toe with the majority of the Dino cavalry as well. Apart from horned ones can actually be a bit of a number on them, and I bring horned ones quite a bit in this matchup to counteract just these units. We have double Squadron of Chariots as well, nice, fast-moving anti-large, and leading the battle line, we do have Malekith on a Cold One mount today with Soul Sealer and Gaze of Malice. Basically the usual kit you like to see him. He looks kind of funny though. He's like he's pranced, ready to jump off the beast, it would seem, with his arms kind of pushed out to the side for a bit of balance. Now, his opponent today is going for a classic Dino tactic here, mass skirmish. Just don't engage any main fights, pull back, peel away, and dish out the damage where you can. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of the Chameleon Skinks today, 2 Stegodons as well, which are the best long-range utensil for the Lizardmen, or at least the longest range. Coming in with 360 shooting, a very good answer and counter actually to the Cold One Dread Knights. They do surprisingly well up against cavalry. A load of skink cohorts with javelins as well, dotted all through the back, and a couple of units of Cold One Spear Riders to pin the enemy in place, including the Poe-Hopak cohort there, the Regiment of Renown. We have a Slan Mage Priest of High Magic coming in with Tempest, probably expecting Marathi and Double Man's Court in the skies. We also have Soul Quench, Apotheosis, Banishment, and Shield of the Old Ones, as well as this nifty little item, the Blood Statute of Spite, which can cause some decent damage. And look at him, how can you not love the Slan as he rides gloriously into battle here? So without further ado, let's get this battle underway, and the Dark Riders immediately going to start to reeve forward and take quite a lot of punishment, you would think. They are going to be able to get one of the Chameleon Skinks, and these guys are shielded though, so they're actually absorbing a lot of the damage, but even so, if these bolt throws start aiming at them, they could really start doing quite a pounding, and we are going to get the first Blood Statue of Spite go down, and the assistance of some Cold One Spear Riders should be enough to save the Chameleon Skinks, who are doing a relatively solid job so far. Poor little Malekith has taken some damage. The bolt throws are currently aimed at him, likewise with a nice Soul Quench. And now we've got a big old fight on our hand. We've got some Chameleon Skinks stuck in here. More importantly, some Cold One Spear Riders who are desperately trying to retreat right now away from the Dark Riders, as well as Malekith, who has stand your ground popped. And yeah, the Cold Ones did not enjoy that fight whatsoever. They are going to get healed up though with an Apotheosis. And in comes the Skink Cohorts with Javelins to try to dish out the pain. It's very crucial that the Lizardmen are able to deal with the Dark Riders today. If they can't force them off the field, they can run over the majority of this build. In the back line, you can see a couple of units of Chameleon Skinks have whipped up and around the flanks and are starting to shoot into the rear of the Black Guard of Nagrond. They still have 100 armor, but no shields at all. But hey, damage is damage at the end of the day. We can see the Dark Riders are now starting to be forced off. Malekith himself has actually taken quite a pounding. Cold One Spear Riders have done a really decent job surrounding him and poking him down. And another Soul Quench does come in. Luckily for Malekith, it actually clips a Dark Rider there who took one shot for his bro. Cold One Spear Riders looking like they may be forced off here and actually drive that Soul Sealer towards their allies. But it looks like luckily none of them were caught. So not the greatest Soul Sealer, just catching the one unit of Cold One Spear Riders. But it's going to counteract that Apotheosis and hopefully drive them off the field. Chameleons are doing a fantastic job, just harrying and harassing. You can see a lot of the Dread Spears, again, danger low right now. Stegodons are going to pull off and kind of peel back a little bit, they really need to start focusing down these Cold One Dread Knights. Otherwise, they're going to be causing some massive problems in the later stages of the game. Blackguard of Nagron continue their silent advance, moving forward. Still getting shot in the back. They're getting javelins to the front. So much missile pressure. Lizardmen really are a very powerful ranged faction. It's kind of this close quarters range almost. They remind me of Space Wolves a little bit from 40k and how they play. The Chameleon Skinks are going to be falling back, doing some nice damage to the Dread Spears. However, the double Squadron Chariot has a bucket ton of ammunition and has complete free reign here to run over all of this infantry. Another Soul Quench goes down, catching Malekith, but now the Slant Mage Priest is in a little bit of a dangerous situation. He needs to make sure he stays away from Malekith where possible. Hopak cohort go on the charge after the Cold One Dread Knights, but their armor is thick and heavy, and I don't think they're going to enjoy that fight. Likewise, more Cold One Spear Riders getting overwhelmed down here, very close to the board edge by the Dread Knights and some Dark Riders. Malekith is looking a little bit worse for wear, but yeah, these Stegodons really need to start focusing down those Dread Knights, or they could be in big problems in the later stages of the game. Chameleon Skinks using up a bucket ton of ammunition, continue to rain shots down onto the Dread Spears and rear shots into the Black Guard, but that 100 armor is keeping them nice and healthy at the moment, though they are now sandwiched between double Chameleon Skink units and a rather ancient and angry Stegodon here. Stegodon is moving into combat, maybe. He's kind of pushing forward. We do see an Apotheosis go down on the Hopak cohort, and they're actually able to catch the Squadron of Chariots, using that charge speed bonus to really rip and tear into them. If they can drag down a couple of models, that'd be a massive victory right now for the Lizardmen in the mid-stage of this battle, but there are now Dread Spears to support. The Stegodon does manage to ramrod its way through a few not Pterodons, Dread Spears, but unfortunately this other Stegodon, it gets the Shield of the Old Ones treatment, getting healed up quite nicely, but the Cold One Dread Knights are all over it. Likewise is Malekith, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a good day for that beautiful dino. Chameleons continue to pepper into the Blackguard of Nagron, who still have 52 models, despite taking a huge amount of HP damage. These guys are all rocking very low HP each. Now you can see as the shots come in, more and more Blackguard do fall to the ground, and this ancient Stegodon, or basic Stegodon I should say, I keep calling them ancient Stegodons, but you know, they're ancient in human and duck years I suppose, still has a decent amount of ammunition and can rain in a lot of shots now. It looks like they are finally starting to focus down at the Cold One Dread Knights. There's a little bit too little too late for this first Stegodon, which has been driven off the field, but a big bolt comes in, cleaving multiple cavalry models per shot. That's going to get you some juicy value. Chameleon Skinks are running out of ammunition. We're going to see yet another Soul Quench come down, I would think. And nope, it looks like it was indeed cancelled there. Or maybe he was blocked out from his intended target. Blackguard, unfortunately, do go down here. The Chameleons were able to kite them, but at what cost? They used up so much ammunition to get these guys off the field. Balance power is relatively dead even, and though the Dark Elves are in a state of ascendancy, never count out the Stegodons. They're actually really decent melee combatants. Though they have poor melee attack, on the charge they can be really ferocious. We're going to see an Apotheosis go down on the Stegodon, trying somehow to bring it back to the battlefield. I feel that's going to be a tough ask, because one unit of Dark Riders is probably just going to escort off the battlefield, but you still keep terror and fear despite being broken, which I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like if you're being routed, you probably shouldn't be able to tear out enemies, but you can see that effect is starting to come in, and he may be able to rout away all of his pursuers here. We do get a lovely Soul Stealer. It's going to catch the Slant Mage Priest as well as the Stegodon, who's actually blocking in so many Cold One Knights, allowing the Slant to escape. Even when routing, the Stegodon still is following the great plan. I love that usage there of him kind of pinning all those troops. So we do have some Chameleon Skinks returning to the fray. They are relatively low on ammunition though, at least the ones on the left-hand side. And the ones on the right are pretty beat up. We do have one Stegodon trying to make it to safety, where he can then turn around and use that great bow to deadly effectiveness and rain shot after shot in. Now the Dread Knights are looking relatively healthy still. They are supported by the Blackguard of Nagron. We see a Blood Statue Spite go down one of the units, cursing them and their ancestors for all of their years to come. And the Stegodon, though it did get held up earlier, still is running away. It did manage to tear out the Dark Riders, but the Squadron of Chariots are in hot pursuit, and we are going to get the first banishment of the day, trying to save the Stegodon, who is danger low right now, and that's a beautiful cast by the Lizardmen player, catching so many of the Knights. Unfortunately, it doesn't peel off towards the Blackguard of Nagron, and is now just kind of running about in no man's land. So it's a nice initial cast. You can see a bucket ton of dead bodies. Look at all those dead Cold One Dread Knights on the ground. But is it going to be enough? I think that Stegodon will be going down here. Looks like it's going to be followed up by a big fat Soul Quench, which is actually going after the Squadron of Chariots, and it does manage to destroy one of the models, maybe hoping for a bit of a rout here to bring the Stegodon back, who's been hounded and harassed now. It does manage to rally. It's got some Chameleon Skinks nearby to cheer it on and whip it up with a bit of support, and it looks like the Squadroners are basically out of ammunition, and the Stegodon is ripping them to pieces. And they make a rather well-timed tactical retreat there, trying to get back to safety. The Stegodon barely clinging on now with its leadership, but is starting to stabilise a little bit in the later stages of the battle here. Chameleon Skinks are forced into combat up against the Dread Spears. They're not the worst melee combatants, not great. But I believe they do cause, poison attacks as well in melee as well as range isn't too bad. Now, some of the Dread Knights are out of control. Malekith is still relatively healthy, and we can see the Black Guard of Nagrond are now receiving yet another Blood Statuette of Spite as the Chameleons continue to rain in shots. Poor Stegodon is being forced off now, 644 HP, but negative 48 leadership is not doing it any favours whatsoever. And it looks like Malekith will not make the mistake they made with the previous one, and actually this time will finish it off for good, and the beautiful dino does bite the dust. Surely the odd ones keeping those Chameleon Skinks in the fight up against far more elite troops, and that Slon has somehow kept himself alive throughout a load of harass. He's constantly been hounded by the Dark Elf player. Now, we still have a Stegodon launching shots in from afar. Apparently, it's slightly obstructed right now. It's been doing some pretty decent damage to these Dread Knights, although the 56 Black Guard of Nagrond are a little bit scary indeed. Now, I don't know if that other banishment is off cooldown yet. He's popped Apotheosis, but a banishment coming down on all these troops would be absolutely clutch. We'll have to wait and see if he can pull that off, but it looks like he may break before he gets the chance, and there he goes. Stegodon continues to launch shots in, but I think the Cold One Dread Knights, their hot pursuit of these dinos, is just about enough to get a very, very Pyrrhic victory. Their army was pretty much beaten to death. Malekith was kind of the saving grace. He was still very healthy in the late stages of the game, and one unit of Black Guard of Nagrond, but a banishment down on them in that central core would have been so painful. I'm not sure if the New World Order actually used another banishment off screen and we just didn't see it, but that would have been so nice if it had come down there. Well played to the Sulphur Crested Cockatoo. Absolutely awesome game by him, as well as the New World Order. I actually don't get to see Chameleon Skinks in action that much anymore due to the points increase and the weakness, or the kind of lessening of the power of the poison. A little bit of nerf there. They did okay, used up a lot of their ammunition and still didn't really necessarily pay for themselves. I do like the double Stegodon pick. It's something that's not super meta, but you will see it now and again, and sometimes it works terribly and sometimes it works amazingly, and they did a good number trying to pin in the Cold One Dread Knights and really drag those boys down. We will go through all the damage dealt and damage value of all these units in just a second, but if you guys enjoyed and want to see more of this content, feel free to support the channel by subscribing and hitting that thumbs up button. Both things really help out the channel a bucket ton. Likewise, you can comment down below what you thought of the battle, yell quack at me, just cheer on the troops, or, say if you prefer Lizardmen or Dark Elves. Basically, do whatever you want down there. There's a load of links in the description. One to my Twitch channel, where I also do extra content and live streams. One to my Games Planet account, which, honestly, don't worry too much. I don't basically get no money from it, but it gives you guys discounts and stuff. So if you want to go get Turk War stuff, feel free to use it. Don't even have to use minus in my links and stuff, but if you just go to Games Planet, you can get a load of good discounts on kind of Age of Empires coming out, Total War stuff. Honestly, I really recommend doing that. You'll be saving yourself a bucket ton of money in the long run. There's links down there as well to my Discord, my Patreon, all that kind of cool stuff. But anyway, back to the battle. Sulphur Crested Cockatoo, 2013. He's living in the past there. A little bit damage value on Malekith. 54 kills, not too shabby whatsoever. I think actually in this matchup he's quite a viable option because Marathi can really get brought down by those pesky Chameleon Skinks a little bit easier than our dreaded Dark Lord today. 400 damage value, 122, 200 and 0 for our frontline troops. They did absorb a lot of damage value, which is pretty decent. Black Guard of Nagrond, 680 damage value and 296. They really struggled today. One was still very healthy in the later stages, but just got kited into the Infinity Realm by the Chameleon Skinks in general, as well as some of those javelins coming in. Dark Riders, 730, 540, and 230 damage value. A crucial role, though. They absorbed so much of that initial damage, and that allowed the Cold One Dread Knights to get in there and bring the pain. 1,535 damage value, 1,311, 87, and 83 kills. Pivotal in winning today. They were able to overwhelm the Cold One Knights and therefore push in, run down those Chameleon Skinks, trample them under hoof, and club them on the head with those maces. And hey, at the end of the day, they still hit pretty hard, could surround those Stegodons and help break them down. Squadron Chariots, 1.3k and 1.4k damage value of 80 and 74 kills. Equally crucial, really helping to drag down the bigger dinos. And once again, you can just switch these guys into combat mode and start running through Chameleon Skinks. It is absolutely fun and viable. As for the New World Order, the Mighty Slan Mage Priest of High Magic, 1,767 damage value. Not bad whatsoever, considering he used about 50% of his magic on healing, and the other 50% on those soul quenchers. Blood Statue Spite as well coming down, and he did some pretty nice work. Skink cohorts with javelins, not great for this unit, just under 300 damage value, but then 500, 230, 370, and 28. So the majority of them not paying for themselves. Chameleon Skinks, 595 damage value, 758, 666, 617, and 464. So a lot of them not actually paying for themselves, mainly because they're shooting into shielded infantry here. Cohen Spear Riders, 491 damage value and 463. And the big old Stegos, 1,425 damage value and 1,319. I'd have quite liked to have seen actually maybe like 2 less Chameleon Skinks, or maybe 1 less Skink cohort and 1 less Chameleon Skink, and try and find some more funds, and add in a couple of the Chameleon Stalkers to burst down those shielded troops in the front line, really get rid of their HP, and then allow the Chameleon Skinks to strike. But really fun build by New World Order. I'm actually a big fan of this style of Lizardmen play. It's really tough to pull off, but if you can make it work, boy oh boy, does it do some awesome damage. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.